so last year in Maine, a group of us decided that we wanted to work with the Metabolic Makeover. At the time, it was 1.0. Do you remember the 1.0? So we decided that we would bring some folks in, and we had some tremendous results. And so if you look at the slide, you'll see there are 3 people here that we worked with. And the first gentleman, his name is Jamal. Jamal had just seen his physician, and the physician had told him that he was in the pre-diabetic state and was ready to get on the meds. And he said, I am not getting on meds. I don't care what they do. And so I said, well, you want to give this a try? And he said, yes. Got on the product. 3 months later, well, actually, much quicker than that, he had better energy. His blood sugar normalized. And he came to me one morning and said, oh my God, I think something is wrong. I said, what? He said, my blood sugar was 90. Isn't that too low? And I said, no, that's normal. And he said, oh, it's never been that low. And so he was like blown away at the results. Feels great, lots of energy, lost 35 pounds. Now I did work with him with nutrition. He engaged in that as well. So he lost 35 pounds in 3 months. More energy, balanced blood sugar, felt better, could do a lot more. So that's case one. The second one, her name is Susan. And Susan, I met her, she had started on the Metabolic Makeover because she was talking about her legs were really swollen. And they had been swollen for something like, I don't know, she said 5 years, and she had seen many, many physicians. I didn't know at the time, we started on the Metabolic Makeover, and we didn't know at the time that she had all these GI issues going on, gastrointestinal problems. And it was later on, maybe a month later, when I had lunch with her, and we were having a conversation, and she said, well, you know, I've got the runs. Anybody have those sometimes? She said, I have to know where every bathroom is wherever I go. And she said, it's been like that for 10 years. I said, 10 years? What have you done for it? And she said, well, I've seen a lot of physicians. I've even gone to Boston. And the physicians in Boston pretty much said to her, you have to live with this. So I said, are you accepting that? And she said, no, I guess I'm not. I'm kind of still on a search about what to do about it. And I said, well, are you open to working with me? And she said, yes. And so we engaged in putting her on an elimination anti-inflammatory meal plan. We put the aloe in her and some aldophilins. And within 2 days, I got a text from her. 2 days. She said, my first normal bowel movement in 10 years. So, no more swelling in the ankles, no more joint discomfort, ability to exercise more, no more runs, and she also found that she slept better and woke up before the alarm went off. So all of those things improved, you know, just with that Metabolic Makeover 1.0 and the aloe. We didn't have the extra at the time. She would have really felt that benefit. The third person, and this lady here is, she's about my age, I'm 61, she's 60. She had a lot of joint discomfort and wanted to walk. And she said, do you think it will help me with that? And I said, absolutely. So she said, okay, I want to do this. She also had a lot of carb cravings. And I think that that's pretty normal with a lot of our Americans today. We all have carb cravings because of the way that we're eating. And so she said she was willing to try this. It was really impactful. In fact, Eddie Wittry happened to come to Maine, and we had an event at her house, and she shared, and her husband was in the room, and this is not what I expected to hear from her. She said to all of us, she said, I have been on sleeping pills or some kind of sleep aid for as long as I can remember. And she said, I am sleeping more soundly than ever. And her husband raised his hand, he said, I can vouch for that. So this woman not only had better, she was able to walk, she didn't have any more knee discomfort, her carb cravings diminished. She also lost 37 pounds in 3 months. And again, you know, the Metabolic Makeover is not a weight loss system, but when you decrease the carb cravings and you change the way you eat and you start to move, I mean, if you're not going to change the way you eat, and you take the Metabolic Makeover and you don't move, then it's not going to work for you. But you've got to do the work, and if you do the work, I'm telling you, she was so excited, improved sleep, no more carb cravings, her ability to move around and exercise, and she lost the weight effortlessly. So, you know, amazing what our Metabolic Makeover can do, and now with the extra in the aloe, it's even better. Even better. So the next slide is Team STG. We did a half marathon. We decided when we did the Metabolic Makeover last year, we're going to, challenge ourselves. And there was one woman that I worked with. Her name is Andrea. And she engaged in the whole, she said, I don't want to do artificial foods, and I don't want to do foods in envelopes, and I don't want to do any more of this stuff that you do with shakes. I've done all of that. She had been overweight for years and years and years, and she'd done the yo-yo thing forever. So she said, I just want to learn to eat well for life. So I said, okay, let's do that. We'll put you on the Metabolic Makeover, and we'll do the work. So she lost a total of 141 pounds. And she came to me and said, last year, I want to run a half marathon. Would you run with me? And I said, what? Are you nuts? I've never run in my life. You have to understand that 10 years ago, I had some mornings when I had difficulty walking. I had had issues since I was in my late 20s. I had all kinds of issues with my intestinal tract. I had joint discomfort. I had progressed to, as Stephen talks about that seesaw of damage and repair, well, I was that aging lady, and that seesaw of damage was going way up, and the repair signals were way down. And so as I continued to age, things got worse. And so I finally made a decision to get on Innovera 8 years ago, and as a result of that, everything had improved. And she said, oh, you can do this, Ann. And I said, I've never run in my life. And I was a little concerned that my joints would start hurting again. I mean, I didn't want to go back there. So I said, oh, what the heck? I'll give it a whirl. And so I started training last February, and the 6 of us ran together effortlessly. And I have to say that the thing that is so fascinating to me is to take these products, to do something like this, and to come back and to get up the next day and be able to repair rapidly while everybody else is still hurting. It's amazing, amazing. One more story, and this is this year's story, because my daughter is 32 years old. She had a baby. It had been like 6 months she had had the baby. And on Mother's Day, I said, how about you run with me a 5K? And she said, and she's run before, and it had been a little while, so she started training, and we ran together on Mother's Day. I kept up with her the whole time. But here's the thing. She's 32 years old. I'm 61 years old. We run together, and we come back. The next day, I'm not hurting at all. 2 weeks later, I call her. She's still hurting. So do these products work? Oh my God, they are amazing.